What's happening, audience? Hope you're doing good. Ah, I got a delicious one for you today. Okay, a good one. I want to revisit this topic of gender polarities as a primary cause for all sorts of problems. And as I see sort of rising issues between uh, men and women in the, I suppose, like a social corporate social media world, which is not really what's going on, but you can kind of see what's happening in the matrix. Um, but you can totally skip the whole freaking participation in that fucking bubble and live a real life and be super super happy and have nothing to do with the corporate social media. And that's what I'm noticing, that it's almost like, you can say, well, it's up to the people, and people are posting things, not the corporate social media, but the corporate social media are built the structure for exactly that. This, oh my God, this which I want to talk about today. This trading of confidence and innocence, um, through fear mongering, deceit, manipulation. Whatever you want to call it, but they build the structure, and if you participate in it, it's designed to suck you in into that whole fucking game, uh, which in turn will darken your soul. Okay, it's like, I don't see any other benefit of that. You can say, well, there are people out there, and so people are interacting, and it's kind of fun, isn't it? Yep, you can totally do that without corporate social media, and it's super fun. Have you remembered the real life? Remember what we used to do before the corporate social media? It was pretty cool. It still exists. So, anyway, without too much babbling about this, I want to talk about the root cause, about the root cause of gender conflict, let's just say, and how that is the root cause of everything else. The first thing I want to look at is and challenge this idea that we have our body that is male or female, and that's where it ends. That our soul is genderless. That's, some people say, well, my soul is genderless. I'm just in a body that is male or female. But I want to challenge this view because I don't. I looked at it deep enough, and I don't see it this way. What I see is that what the, what determines your gender is genetics, Y or X, XX or XY chromosome, for example, right? It's one of, but basically the cause is genetics. Now, the genetics that we observe in the physical reality as our DNA has a cause in something that is non-physical. So, if you buy into the astral realities as a cause of the physical, which it is, and I don't want to go into this and prove that it is so, but you got to investigate for yourself. But upon the further investigation, you can see that this is the case. So if there's an astral cause that everything is physical, then you have to say, all right, then it means that the genetics been caused by the astral reality. And if I have some sort of astral identity, then that also must be male or female. And that can go even deeper and say what causes astral reality, and then you go into the emotions, which astral reality is just the dream patterns, thought patterns. And then you go deeper and you go into emotions and say, well, are my emotions male or female? And the answer to that, you can possibly guess that yes, indeed, your emotions are also, uh, you know, can be more skewed towards the male pattern or the female pattern. When this is a causal body, people call it, your soul is a causal body that causes everything else. Causal body causes the astral patterns, and astral patterns causes the physical form, which means that all the way to the soul, if you pick the role of playing a male, you are a male all the way to the bone, to the soul. And if you pick a female, you are female all the way to the soul. That's what I find to be the case. And only at that soul level, whenever you experience the unity of that, you being a male and uh, a feminine energy completing you in that unity, you're still a male, but now you're also both. You're a male and both, but not like you're a male and now you're a female. No, you're a male or both, or you're a female or both. There is no flipping around like that. And to me, it seems that once you chose this game, you chose the gender that is going to be um, challenging you on a male or a female, uh, you know, level. So basically, if you're a male, it's challenging you on the wisdom. The game will be challenging you on the wisdom, and if you're a female, it will be challenging you on the compassion. And I'm gonna get into this. Okay, so power, wisdom, love, compassion. Basically, those are two challenges that we get as a male and as a female all the way. And then you can say, what if I incarnate as a female? Then you will be all the way to the soul, focused on the feminine, challenge. That's what I. You say, look, what if I'm not playing any kind of role in, and I'm not incarnated? Then yes, then you are whole, and you're just basically chilling with God, so to speak. And again, I don't want to anthropomorphize God, but it's just you are it. You are in the energy of unity and duality, in the same as in the infinite. And so, as you are in the infinite, then you can say that you are genderless because you're in union. But the second you enter the time space, the second there's some sort of motion away from the infinity, immediately there is yin and yang as a separate. So you identify either one or the other. That's what I found it to be the case. Now, that's not to say that you can't override it temporarily. You can totally do that. There's all sorts of tricks to do that. You can become what's it like to be a female, what's it like to be a male with some hypnosis and other tricks, and sometimes even people physically override with hormones, and you can fuck with the system if you want to. This reality permits this idea. But I'm talking about if you are really want to play the game as you set yourself up to play, which is your real challenge and the real point of life, then you will have to accept yourself as focused towards the male challenge or the female challenge. So that's the first thing. If you accept that, then you at least cutting out all this bullshit, all this noise um, that is not really putting you on the right track and just distracting you from what it is. So, which means as a male, you have to ask the question, what is masculinity? And what is wisdom? What is power? Which all these things. What is like the dark masculine and the light masculine? I suppose you have to ask all these questions and figure out what it is to really be a gentleman, a warrior, a magician, and a king. What the hell is this? Not act like that. Not listen to some punk ass idiot who tells you how to act, which just puts you more effective, dysfunctional human being. But to really, really look at it by yourself, for yourself, and you start with emotions. That's where you can find the path to the truth. And as a male, you should be interested in the truth, because that will create sustainable love for you in automatically. And as a female, as a woman, um, you have to ask the question: what is compassion? What is love? You know, what is innocence? Male asks confidence. What is confidence? Female asks what is innocence. Male asks what is power. Female asks what is uh, compassion. And so, if we focus as men to see how can I be the best man possible, and as woman how can be the best woman possible, we're going to in the end, you know. And again, I don't want to say like that has to be some sort of um, drive to create the image of yourself that you are so. No, you have to change as you truly are so. You know, you you don't create just another image of yourself, which is just another trap. You don't create something like, oh, compassionate person do this, so I have to imitate compassion. That's not compassion. That's imitation of compassion. And the same thing with power. You know, oh, powerful people act like that, or people with power act like that. And I don't mean ego power. I don't mean that. I mean actual wisdom. So well, they do this. Let me try to imitate that. That's not it. Okay. So if we at least start off at the beginning, where the intent actually was, then by choosing this path of truth or wisdom, you will end up receiving sustainable form of love, which comes in a female, in a woman. You start off, of course, with all sorts of internal processes, uh, which I'm going to get into in a second. But it ends up materialization in a female form, and the same thing for a woman. Um, okay, so I'm going to get back to the subject, but before I do, I want to talk about this dynamic. What is at the core, metaphysically or physically, and what happens, and what the fuck are we dealing with here? So here's the way I discovered it to be. The first, there is light, and it's a white light, okay? And there's also something transparent that has to reflect that. Let's call that light confidence, and that reflector, pure reflector, that is completely reflects pure white light as it is, innocence. It's innocence, right? Projection and reflection. Projection is a masculine thing, reflection is a feminine thing. Emotion, feeling, you know, intention, you know, uh, oh, let's just say information, form, okay? Then motion, sensation. Okay, so this is just gonna go throughout all of your existence. Those two sides. There's always going to be the light and the reflection of the light. Okay. Now, when you have those two energies like that, it's pure bliss. There's this basically fireworks that is happening. This is where everything starts. It starts with this pure reflection and pure projection, and it's just bliss, if you will, right? Now, then what we do is we split them up and we insert a filter. Let's call this filter matrix. Okay. Now, this filter creates a challenge. Now you cannot see each other. You know, um, a, a female or a feminine cannot be seen as she is, as a pure. You know, and the light cannot be, witnessed as well as pure confidence or pure innocence. These are just words to describe those two things. Okay. So as you can see, intrinsically, as a male, you're still a light, you're still that projection. As a female, you're still that reflection. But now you're entering this game. and the filter is there in the center. Okay, right. Now the challenge is there, because before you were in basically infinite love making, blissful, uh, you know, reciprocation process. Now you split up, and now the goal is how to find each other again through that filter, through that challenge of matrix. And you obviously you can't just find each other again, because if you shine this white light, or let's just this confidence energy, the filter is going to reflect back to you not the pure innocent energy. The filter is going to reflect back to you something else. And this confidence being the truth, what this filter reflects to you is a lie. And so as a male, you can go through life, and you use your that energy of confidence, your intention to create good things, and then you find something like a lie, betrayal, or something like that coming from the feminine, let's just say, because lie is always a feminine. And then you like, what the fuck? I'm being pure in my intent. I'm projecting beauty and and all sorts of wonderful things on my woman, and then I received a lie, deceit, and betrayal on this. What the fuck? Okay, and in that moment, um, there's two things that you can do. You can either grow so-called, what I call, like a dark crystal to cope with this lie. Okay, you create from that white light, you create this dark crystal which emanates now a sort of like a fear-mongering energy to say, well, I'm going to force the people or my woman, not to lie. I'm going to control her and make sure that she has no chance of lying. So basically, I'm going to enslave her, because why do I still need that energy of innocence, but this time, because the lies that are coming from her, I still have to get that innocence somehow, but I don't want to be like deceitful. So I'm gonna control my woman, put the fucking black bag over her head, put the fucking 2 holes in there, and so just that ridiculous fucking nonsense. But anyway, that's a dark crystal energy, and that's a male decides to deal with the reality this way, with the matrix. Okay, because he confuses the woman with the matrix filter. A woman may still be immature, and well, this is basically what I'm trying to say, is that you both start immature, this confidence energy and this innocence energy. But when a challenge comes in, this matrix challenge come in, you can choose what to do with it. Okay, so in this case, you go dark crystal, control, receive innocence through the control and manipulation. And so then you go into this, you need innocence, so you need sex, so you pay for it, or like you trick a woman into through the manipulation and tricks and all that stuff to sleep with you. This is all this dark uh, crystal. And as you build this dark crystal, you will always need to be maintained with the innocence. You will always need to enslave somebody from whom you can receive the innocence, because that's the only thing that will sustain your dark crystal. It cannot be sustained by itself. Okay, so the order of business, of course, for the dark crystal to start deteriorating is to cut off the access to the innocence. Okay, the other side, this innocence, right? So a woman comes into this world and it's completely innocent. Say like, hey, I'm completely trusting, everything's gonna be all right. I'm completely trusting. And then sure enough, what happens is not what was the expectation for it to happen. What happens is that she has like an advantage taken um, of her, and instead of she's receiving the light energy, she receives the fear energy and controlling energy. So now she has to figure out of how to get that light, because She wants the light, just like, or the confidence in this, right? The light and confidence. She wants the confidence energy because that's how she sustains her life. So now she has to figure out, okay, so I see men are using fear to control me, to take my innocence, and and so I have to figure out the way now how to take their energy, their confidence. So I'm gonna sign up on OnlyFans or whatever and show whatever I want to show to get to suck the men dry of their energy, and manipulate them and use them. And so this is what you get with the woman like that. um, and you can see that they're lost. And so that what happens there is that the woman starts creating, instead of this pure virgin reflection or pure reflection of whatever it is, to to still gain the light. She's creating what I would call like a black mirror. And the black mirror is basically is a lie. In response to this fear mongering energy, to defend herself, she's going to create a lie, and she's going to lie um, to you. Okay, because of this traumatic event or whatever, or like what happens if she's transparent. She gets advantage taken off, and so therefore she, as a protective mechanism, she creates this black mirror. So there you go, like there's two options that you can do, that go the dark way. And this is what you see in the corporate social media world, which you have to understand. This is a corporate social media world. Whatever's going on there is just corporate social media world. It's not the real world. But you see people trapped in it, and you see the interactions there. Is a pure manipulation, pure control of animalistic desires, using the artificial intelligence to be the most addictive and the most manipulative way of dealing with this. And so therefore, male say, I'm going to find a way how to steal your innocence, and woman says, I'm going to find a way how to steal your confidence. And so there's this war going on. Okay, and and they may even post nice pictures that, oh, look at us, how we're nice and we're together, but really they're at war with each other. A woman doesn't give a shit about this man, and this man doesn't give a shit about this woman. Just wants this perks, just want the perks, you know. That's the dark side of it, which is like they don't want attention. They don't want connection. They want attention. So now, but in response to that matrix energy, instead of building your dark soul, masculine and feminine dark soul, you can choose to build a light soul, so to speak. So as the confidence energy flows through, the lie comes back at you, which hurts, and you can face this betrayal, lie, all this nonsense. You can feel a certain one thing with the person, but the person reflects nonsense to you. You project the beauty as a man, and ugliness comes back at you. So what you do, ugliness being a lie, which is ugliness, and it hurts you. And so you can use that pain, and you can transmute that pain. You can face that pain all the way, and it may be, it depends on you, of course, and everybody's different, but that's the point. And as a male, you got to face the pain. You got to face emotional pain. And every time you're going to break through that emotional pain, you'll see that there's something else and much nicer. And it's almost like every time you break through it, you build your true soul. You gain wisdom. Okay? So now, these lies cannot get to you. That the energy of a lie cannot get to you. Because, and you being a gentleman, and you being, a provider, you being all sorts of things that a man's supposed to be. And then you, instead of getting appreciation, you get, your ass handed to you and being called like all sorts of fucking things that it's not true. It's a lie. Don't believe in that bullshit. But it will hurt you. But in order for you to crystallize that, it will never hurt you again, the same bullshit, same lie, you face it, you crystallize it, and you grow that crystal. I call it, the heart of a diamond, which is a crystal which takes that energy that is a lie and distorted energy and converts it back into the truth. And so whenever the lie comes at you, it doesn't affect you because you don't have anything. That lie cannot land anywhere. So as you can see, there is no way for you to actually grow that crystal without that lie coming to you in the first place. So which is a good news, and this is how that matrix filter stimulates the growth of wisdom for you. Because the point is to reconnect back again. But the only way you can reconnect back again is if you shape yourself in a specific way, and she shapes herself in a specific way, where it can overcome the matrix filter and still see each other as you are. But this time in flesh, this time in the real, in the 3D physical world, normal way, and you can see the God in him and the goddess in her. That's the highest achievement of God, is to be in flesh, or a goddess is to be in flesh. Not imagination, which is, can be a good thing to start with, but the final outcome is to, you won't be fulfilled, you won't be happy until that happens in a human form. I promise you that. Because physically and metaphysically speaking, you as a man, you can work on yourself as much as you can, and you will still going to create just a half. Like, you're still going to create a perfect half in this game, in this life. Okay? You're going to need another one, another half. This is why this idea, don't even bother worrying about this idea that a woman says, I don't need a man, or a man says, I don't need a woman. This is all just a nonsense, not even the point of this game. It's some sort of abomination, and another lie that people are telling themselves, right? You can say that, well, I'm no longer miserable without someone being, physical form. That could be, true, but you can't say that ultimately that's not what would fulfill you completely. And so why do you need that? Why you need to reconnect? Which is, at first there's war, there's conflict, in order to grow as a soul, in order to reunite. And then why would you do that? Because then when you do that, then the real life starts, the creation and the play starts, that is now sustainable. Whereas you started like in the innocence, there was a creation and play at the beginning, but the challenge came along, the matrix bullshit came along, and so you had to grow up in order to return back to that confidence, to the innocence, to start creating in this world as your oyster again. And so you got to go through this conflict to find that union, and from that union you go back into the creation and playing again. That's the point of life. And that creation of on playing in this lifetime is going to be sustainable, and as people call it, happily ever after. Now, what are we dealing with? We're dealing this confidence and the innocence energies that are very fragile in this world. And in order for them to be protected, a man has to grow that crystal of wisdom, which diffracts all the lies and back into the truth. And a woman must grow that mirror of, or reflector of compassion, right? So whiteness. Remember, I said, like, if a woman goes dark, she grows the black mirror, and if she goes towards the light, she grows the white mirror. Because what is the best reflector of the light, even if it's just a little bit, like even if it comes in the form of fear, the best response to this fear that's coming from somebody is this white mirror, compassion. Because what it does it do with that distorted energy of fear, it just diffuses, and so it actually lights things up like a moon reflecting the sun. You see, whereas the black mirror will always find a way how to manipulate and be cunning and how to get that light and cheat and all that nonsense. You see, so there's therefore like mature, or when a woman decides that the compassion is the answer to this bullshit of matrix, she's become this diffuser of this fear energy. The fear energy comes along and she diffuses that's in compassion and softness and warmth, and so she can take any fear away. And I have to say that a woman and a man can be pretty good at it, but he will never be as good as a woman, because her core essence is water. Your core essence is fire. Okay, and this is why a woman can never be, you know, fire. She can try, but that's just going to be very, boiling water. That's all it's going to be. It's just very hot water. It's not the real fire. It can never, woman will never go into the temperatures that the man can go into, because it's a fire principle. This is why when a woman may be challenging a man on in fire, if a man stands his ground, she can never win. That's the trick. It may appear that she can win, but she can never win. And she has no business in the fire in the first place. But she may use this for self-protection if there's no that real fire around her as a coping mechanism. But that's not the way. Hey, sorry about that. As I was saying, what was I talking about? Remind me. Right? Yeah, you say the essence of a woman and essence of a man. And the same thing, that there are limits. As a male, you will have limits of how far you can go in the compassion. Um, the only way you can have a compassionate woman is if you are in union. You can be in yourself. I mean, there might not be a physical woman around you, but if you are in a pure wisdom, in union with the feminine energy, where you're no longer just truth, or you're no longer just male, but you're both, then you can have the compassion of not just wisdom, not just wisdom, but compassion as well. Only in the complete merge with the feminine, you can have all these powers of the feminine, which means you need that feminine, and you only half of it. And as soon as you start playing, your game as a male again, you're half again. And why? Because otherwise, what would be the point of life if you're always whole? This is why you gotta play this game as a male, so you always, whatever you do for that unity again. Whatever you do for love, so to speak, right? Okay. So again, the capacity for compassion in a woman, just like a capacity for being cunning in that black mirror, just as uh, just as much there's a capacity for that compassion. Okay. And you see, a woman with compassion can help a man uh, to uh, to bring out the wisdom, like, very quickly, and a male with power or wisdom can bring out the compassion woman very quickly. But there has to be the openness for each other. This is why, if you're a man and you've done all the right things, and even what I'm talking about, do your alchemy and everything, you may start seeing that what you're doing, what you're noticing is that you stop being this savior guy who is attracted to black mirrors. Um, it loses its appeal to you. And what starts being appealing to you is a real, genuine compassion, which is this radiant, soft energy um, from a woman. And you cannot fake it. And the only way you gain that is, again, through going through this, and it's a tough process. And and you face the fear, that you gain compassion, and you face the lie, and you gain power, because power, wisdom is something that is purely against the lie, against corruption. And compassion is purely something that is against the fear, or fear mongering. Okay. And so as a male, you can a have a capacity to build this amazing crystal of wisdom, and as a woman, you have capacity to build this amazing pearl of compassion. And whenever there's a woman with the pearl of compassion, and a male with the crystal of wisdom, they see each other again, just like they saw at the beginning. The man sees the goddess in her, and she sees the God in a man, in flesh. It's always been this way. The only thing that was in a way is this filter of matrix, which was a challenge. You challenge yourself both to say that, hey, I bet you I will still find you in the darkest, realms. It's a love story. Love found where it's not supposed to be. And you challenge each other to prove to each other of how much love you have for each other. And that's what's really going on. And that's the first order of business before you can go into creating and playing. Um, and it may come in cycles, and it comes the challenge of, I call it like that process. For a male, I call that process alchemy. For the woman, I call that process devotion, because she grows in compassion and the male grows in wisdom. But um, one second. Sorry about the little pause. Well, you didn't experience any pause. What I'm talking about. So I take my apology back. But sorry for interruption, though. What was I talking about? It was raining outside. This is why I came inside. I think it still is raining. Yeah. Huh. Okay. Whatever. Okay. What was I talking about again? I think I was just finishing up, wrapping it up. Right. The love story. And so, what is the moral of the story? You ask? Well, the moral of the story is that if you're gonna go towards this idea of, which is what this corporate social media circle does, men are literally looking for the ways to reproduce women in the form of a robot. And of course, you can check it out. They already have like a virtual girlfriends that look more real than the real girlfriends. And if you have like a long distance relationship on the phone, that AI girlfriend can pretty much replace and do whatever they ask. And so there you go. So that's pretty much solution, you know, for a man. But of course, as you know, that will just satisfy that superficial need, but it will never complete, you know. But as somebody who's a dark crystal man, this is going to be a great solution. And on the other side as well, yeah, women are still fighting for their rights and trying to, I don't know. Somebody says like that 80% of some of the towns in US, that 80% of them, 80% of women in these towns are OnlyFans, and so the woman is trying to keep their end of, you know, way of getting that energy, getting that money from men, and figuring out ways how to still get that money. But the end of this game, uh, the dark mirror and the black crystal end game is just a complete separation, and the rock bottom. And from there, you can go anywhere else but back. And sooner or later, whoever went into the dark gonna have to start taking the journey to the light little by little. And you may even argue that somebody has to go really dark for somebody go really bright. It just makes sense. This is why, like, if you want to build like a lot of wisdom, the only way you can do that if there's somebody is really like, uh, pardon my French, but a piece of shit liar kind of thing. But in this context, you don't really see them as negative because they're the catalyst for your wisdom. And the same way on the feminine side, you don't see fear mongering, controlling men as a threat anymore because they're a catalyst for the growth of your compassion. So the darker the male goes, the brighter the female grows. The more compassion she grows. And the darker and the more black a woman goes, the more bright the man goes. And so it's all good. This is what I'm trying to say. It's all good. That everything is like in this game, everything is scattered. All these pieces, all these puzzle pieces just scattered. And the game is just put it back together as it's supposed to be, and see each other as you are. For real. And don't even worry about somebody who went so dark in one direction. They're all gonna have to come back again. That's how it ends. Because in total separation, there is no more life. So therefore, there's only death, and so that's why that black crystal is gonna start getting, self-destructing, and this black mirror is going to be collapsing, turning into this white. And so, and I said before, in order for you to get the diamond, you need to get a coal. No, kind of makes sense, right? And the same thing for you, somebody to get the pearl, you need that irritation, right? That problem, that sand, that dirt, out of which the white comes out. And this is why in during like the weddings, they call it the groom, because the groom is the one that has been groom, and grow is similar words, because the groom was growing that crystal, preparing, growing the wisdom, preparing for this union. And a woman in white, because, and by the way, like it's in black, the groom is in black. Why? It doesn't, the black does not show uh, darkness or blackness. It's trying to show the transparency. But I mean, a man cannot just show up naked, even though it's pretty cool, in my opinion. But the black denotes transparency, crystal clear, no fear, no lie, pure wisdom. And a woman, white, also says that if the fear comes at me, I'll diffuse it into the softness and care and that compassionate energy, that true love, not innocence. Because the innocence, there's this very innocent love, and the compassion is very mature love. And the same way, the confidence is very, immature type of truth, I suppose. And then the wisdom is a mature type of, or power. Wisdom is the same, mature type of truth that can be sustained in the matrix. Okay? And that's the story. And that's just the beginning. Once you do have that union, say, what are you going to do with all that junk inside your trunk? What you're going to do with it is create. And I mean, as you live life, you may have these moments, like the cycles. There's a time something comes along, then there's, to really go through it, you discover this newfound compassion, newfound wisdom. There's a certain type of union, and you use that energy to create and play, and then again, and just keeps on going, the cycles, and until that conflict part ends, because there's nothing else for one to transmute or alchemize, and then become pure creation and pure play. And that's basically our next era. But some of us are, more like, I don't know what to say, more like there's always like this, there's, in this current time, there's going to be people living in this bubble of paradise, where they're just purely creating and playing and oozing value, and conflict is just used for the resolution, and not war and whatever. And there's going to be people who are still kind of going into the dark way. But I think that right now there's nowhere to go anymore, in terms of, you can't go any darker than what's already. I think from now on, things are getting brighter and brighter, and people who went into the dark, now they're hitting the rock bottom. They're getting arrested, they're getting all sorts of justice are being pulled, and that for the reason for them to start saying that, oh shit, I cannot get away with my crap anymore, I better become transparent and honest, and I will hurt like shit, and I'm gonna have to face this. And then and for a woman, it would be like, that will be really heavy, it will feel really freaking heavy, but I'm gonna have to face this too. And so that's what we do. So if anybody says to you, I don't need a man, or I don't need a woman, just wait a little. No one can escape the truth. Everything's built out of yin and yang. And now suddenly some arrogant schmuck says that, no, I'll be fine just like as a half baked cookie. No, you won't. No, you won't. And even if you say, well, I don't need anybody in the farm, you're still not going to complete the game, because the point of it all is there's the seed, there's the germ, there's this flower, and there's the fruit. And the fruit is the physical. So as long as you're not going to find God in a man, you're not done and you're not going to feel right. And it's just not going to happen. It's always something going to nagging you and pushing you and says like, hey, you have not completed the puzzle, you have not completed the puzzle, and you're going to have to complete the puzzle. And the same thing um, uh, for both, you know. That's the whole point. The highest achievement of God and the goddess is true love in a regular physical human being relationship. That is holy matrimony. And that's the whole point. Without this, you can't create and play. You can do it like temporarily, you know, but it won't last. And that's what you get to see, that um at first you may try to like control and say, oh, why people are not doing this. Is like, hey, don't worry about it. Like right now when I see people say something and say some belief system and say like, well, I don't need a man, I don't need a woman, I can't have this in a man, I can't have this in a woman, I need God, and just trying to go into the heavens and forgetting the earth or whatever they're trying to do, there's no worries, because no one can escape the truth. They're all gonna have to face it sooner or later. You know? The whole game is about projection and reflection, projection and reflection. And when as a man you get your game right, you project that original confidence and original light, no matter if the bullshit comes back at you, you transmute it and there's still light comes out. And so you're kind of anti-bullshit. Anti-bullshit machine. And the other side as well. No matter what kind of fear monger comes in and all that nonsense, you know, the compassion dissipates all that. You know? And you know, you this like reality is free. Like for example, we got to accept this fact that there's only your world, and of course there are other worlds which are other people. And as long as you are deciding of what kind of game you want to play in this life and what kind of relationship you can have with each single type of a person, like what kind of relationship you have with like the darkest man, or what kind of relationship you can have with the darkest woman. And so as long as you find that your space of and you have a certain type of relationship with everybody in your reality, what my relationship with this world, what's my relationship with this world. And if you have adequate relationship with all these worlds, you can have your whatever you want to live, and not be threatened by any other worlds. Then you create your little world, and if someone else's world comes in and says like, holy shit, look at this, our world is very compatible, it's complementary, and those two bubbles, just like two cells, create a big cell. And that becomes another world. And when two worlds merge that are compatible, think that's enough for today. Hopefully, I communicate the message. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.